Hello and welcome back to the Eternal Dawn. I am the Captain, Straw Hat Lucas, and I'm of course joined today by my lovely crew. I'm going to let them say hello. Let's start with the first mate of the Eternal Dawn, Mr. Kube of the Red Sea. How we doing today, Cube?
Hey man, I'm doing fine. Another, a great week. The anime is back. The chapter, as usual, Oda is cooking. We might just call him Zeph or the Cook King from now on for Oda because it's not a great chapter. So yeah. I'm excited.
Nice. Excited to hear your ranking then at the end of the discussion today.
Mm-hmm.
And next up is one of my best friends in the entire world, Mr. Vexus, the Lurking Legend, the head cook of the Eternal Dawn. How we doing today, Vex?
Can't believe Cube's just gonna call someone else the Cook King like right in front of me. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so
it's
wild.
not like it's my title or anything.
It's your
I'm good.
crewmate, man.
What's good? It's your boy Vexus, the Lurking Legend. Y'all can just call me Vex. Super excited. It's been a minute since it's just been the three of us. This takes me back to like 2 years ago or something. Just cooking at like 3 a.m. on VC. So this is definitely gonna be fire.
Yes.
Let's
And
get
of
right
course,
into it.
obvious shout outs to our wonderful navigator and our helmsman, 3-Day Trip and Knack Reacts, who could not be here with us today, fighting Cypher Pole right now. Crazy stuff. Pretty sure Knack one-shot Blue No, by the way. Anyway, let's get right into this chapter. Chapter 1145. Starting out, we have a color spread dedicated to the return of the One Piece anime. I myself have not got to watch the episode yet. The only thing I really have to say about this, Vex, I know you also haven't got a chance to peep into the episodes, but Cube, I've heard a clip of Frankie's new VA, and I would love to hear what do you think of him?
So I saw one of the 2 episodes. I won't lie, I forgot about it, but it's good because I was reminded after I saw the episode that it was the start of his new VA.
Yeah.
But it was for me overall. It was a great episode. Straw Hat, everything was great in that episode. So it's a great VA.
Yeah.
It felt natural.
It
felt natural.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the I mean, mad respect to Ao Sensei. We respect the grind and the hustle and whatnot. But I'm glad he's getting his rest. And I've seen the clip as well, and I think it's fine. For me, there will be I'm a huge supporter of most of the dub casts, and Patrick Seats is phenomenal as Frankie.
I agree.
But I think it's, from the clip that I've seen, it seems perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think it sounds a little bit more like Patrick's tone wise, a little bit deeper. But you can't hit that Yao Sensei Frankie voice, you know what I mean? Like, my man he knew what to do with Frankie, and he had that high vibrato to him. I'm really just excited because we haven't got to see him be excited as Frankie yet, and that's where it really counts. Can you show that hype?
I need to hear a super. To speak on the color spread, I really do think it's really interesting because they're all just kind of a vibe, and I'm really happy to see Usopp and Luffy specifically kind of front and center, checking out the Gear 5 on the big screen here. It's really cool. I like this.
Yeah, I like how excited they all look, and Luffy pointing at the screen too. That's just chef's kiss there.
Well, the thing I can tell you, because that was the reasons why they had to stop for 6 months. The animation seems to be really on point. It was really beautiful to watch.
That gets me more excited to watch it, if I'm honest.
It felt like that was my problem sometimes in Egghead, which is the same. I had the same issues in Wano. We know there's some in Egghead, there's less animation changes, but there was something with it that still didn't stick. You could sense even with people's emotion. There's a scene where how York starts to beg, and it's like you could feel it.
Yeah,
it's really well animated. So it's really good. It's worth the wait, from what I saw.
Well, heck yeah,
what's
Go ahead,
what's going on with this 11:15 p.m.?
What do you mean?
Does anybody have any on the clock? Yeah.
Do you think that's what time? Because I know that the time changed for when One Piece premieres, because we usually get them in America, at least, like real late at night on Saturdays, usually like 7, 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock even. I remember one night it didn't come out till like 10 or 11, but it dropped at like 3 or 4 p.m. over here.
Yeah, it dropped. I'm seeing it. Basically, 11/22 will be released on Saturday, 5th of April at 11:15 p.m.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's really okay.
Yeah.
They're sly like that. That's interesting.
Mhm.
Hopefully
Yeah.
Crunchyroll's ready for that, because I've heard they've been having problems lately.
Yeah.
With some certain big releases, because but yeah, that's wild, and I can't wait to get back into it. I'm somebody who kind of needs to like. I struggle with the week to week on certain animes, so I need to like, especially because I know what's happening. I'm gonna wait until there's like 2 or 3, and then I'll binge it really quickly, you know.
Yeah, that's usually how I am. I usually wait for about 4 or 5 episodes of it to come out. This time I'm only gonna wait for the 2. Sounds like they're both out, so I'm gonna be watching them here soon.
Won't lie, Egghead was the first arc where I broke it. It's from Dressrosa. I've been wait until the full arc is over because of the pacing to watch in one go, but Egghead broke that pattern, so I understand completely.
That's when I got caught up in Wano, I waited until all of Wano was animated and like it out before I rewatched it or finished it in the anime. And I think Egghead, there's just something special about Egghead in the way it's presented. It's the first arc of the final saga, so being able to experience it in the week to week, not only in the manga but the anime as well, it feels right. I don't know how else to explain it. With it being the first arc that I've read alongside the community fully, like I experiencing it as it's coming out in the anime is just something breathtaking, if I'm honest.
Also, it's a build up from so many arcs with a lot of the infos or payoff we got in that and it's not like, you know, that was the reasons why I started doing full arcs, is because like Vex said, we know what's coming, but since the pacing is taking forever, so it's like, okay, you know what, dude, I'm gonna do something else because I know what they're talking about. And Naked, it was so fast paced that even in the anime, when you started watching it, it's like it's an immediate payoff. It's not building to something later on. So
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I haven't watched the 2 episodes, but they're about to get into the Kizaru versus Luffy fight, round 1. Like, yeah, that's crazy pacing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we could talk about the anime all day, and let us know in the comments if you guys want to see some coverage over that. But we got to get into the manga, guys. That's what the people are here for.
Yes. Sorry, lovely folks at home, One Piece fans. Am I right? So 11:45, Wildfire in Forest Sector 2, branch route 8. I almost said Brûlée.
Oh, that says Brûlée. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking
route
about.
8. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 30. Pepe's still alive. One thing I don't have much to say about this, Cube. I know you do, so I'm gonna let you go next. This cover page in particular, but that said, I like the emotion that Oda is showing us from Ulti. She was fairly heartless in Wano. You know what I mean? She was a good villain. So it's kind of nice to see a different side of her, especially when last week I'd said, you know, I don't see her getting any kind of redemption or anything, but with this one page, I myself felt a little bit like, oh, I kind of feel bad for Ulti in this moment, kind of thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit like the effect that we had in Solo Park, in Water 7 with the Frankie family. The pivot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Yeah, with the Frankie family.
It happened.
Yeah.
That's it. Sorry for mentioning an L arc, guys, first, before talking about Water 7.
Post Indies lobby.
Yeah. No, but it kind of makes you think of the same vibe. And I think it's something that we see with the Scarabs, with the Gladiators in Dressrosa. Even in Fishman Island, with what they try to do with 40 Joes and their guys, it's like, you know, me and Vex are in agreement, I think, on this, is that we don't need the Beast Pirate to have a redemption arc, but we need to know what's up with them, you know what I mean? You can't leave them roaming, so it does feel like maybe Yamato will be the leader that will guide them to at least, you know, not a full redemption, but a new purpose in the story.
Mhm.
You see,
Do you think-
I always viewed like Ulti as a character who similar to like the Doflamingo family, like there is a level of compassion. It's just solely reserved for page one. It's not her fault that she's like a yandere about it. You know what I mean? But like
That's
it's
her brother. No. Oh, that makes sense. Never mind.
whatever. It's Japan's like that sometimes, man. But no, I mean, it's like she does have like this ruthless, cutthroat, like headstrong, head empty, you know, kind of style about her. But when it comes to page one, she is cut completely different with her behavior. And she is a little bit overbearing, a little bit protective, a little bit defensive, and things like this. So it's like that's her one like fulcrum where we can see that kind of compassion, and it's really interesting that Oda is pulling that here in a cover story. But I'm here for it. You know, I'm not a big page one fan, but you know, Ulti's kind of cool. I like her a little bit, and you know, Yamato is a phenomenal character. So just seeing them just like, you know, it's like the cool people walk away from explosions type shit where they're just like looking off in the distance, like yeah, whatever. You know, I think this is kind of a vibe, you know?
Yeah. I like the composition of the page a lot. I also like, I'm thinking now with what you had said about her, you know, the way that she treats her brother, opposed to how she treats everyone else, literally. Do you think that's because he's her only family left? I mean, her father did get taken out by Ace, which actually, no. He lost a battle to Ace and then got taken out by a group of pirates. But nonetheless, like, do you think that that's why she treats page one the way she does? Is because of what had happened with their dad?
It could be like an older sister kind of vibe. I don't want to like psychoanalyze this character we haven't had much time with. But yeah, like where she's like, hey, you know, I'm going to be mean to everybody, but don't you dare be mean to my brother. You know, type of vibe. So like, because like she's like, I'm the only one who's allowed to be mean to him.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But again, I'm not here to like psychoanalyze this character we haven't really gotten too much from. But I think this is a sweet moment. This is a really interesting conclusion to this segment of the cover. There's no way the cover story's done right now.
No.
Give me like 200 more chapters of this because I still love hearing people complain about it. But, the question I had is what's with this? What is this, like an 18 up here in the top left? What's with that? What's that a piece of? What could this mean?
Yeah. The 18 also caught my eye. I'm wondering what it is supposed to be. I can't really tell the area. So.
Yeah, aside from like the obvious focal points of Yamato like staring away with the sword retrieved, and then you know, Ulti and page one in the wreckage, there's nothing else really to like grasp onto here. But then there's just this like little tiny, very bold thing in the corner back in the distance. Yeah. What is that? That has to be that's intentional, right?
Chapters are left in the cover story.
Oh my god. But I mean, like, I'm not gonna try to like say that I definitively know that Oda has 100% intentionally included this because of like I'm thinking of what it could be though. Like I'm entertaining possibilities. Nothing directly comes to mind. Okay. Crazy. No, I've got a W with the Egghead chapter prediction that I made. I'm not ever doing that again. I'm quitting while I'm ahead.
yeah, good idea. Cube,
I'm not ever doing that again.
Any thoughts on the cover story before Bex takes us into the chapter?
More like, you know, and also I want that bingo to be removed with the seeing like Mario, but I feel like we might be seeing like with the other Tobi Roppo.
Yeah.
You know, we've basically seen Yamato basically helped and took out 3 Tobi Roppo on the last cover story, page 1, Ulti and what's his name, Who's Who. So it'd be cool to seeing what is the outcome of all the Tobi Roppo. Will they all follow line to Yamato, or is there going to be no more hobbling in their future?
Who's left?
I mean, wasn't Drake technically? Yeah, Drake was a Tobi Roppo, and then Sasaki and Black Maria, I believe, are the only others. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got a small update on Drake. I guess like back in Egghead, it was like a panel and a half, but like but like we got a bit.
Make Vex's dream come true. Give us all of the gifters in the cover story.
Oh my
That'd be
god.
crazy.
Show me
Okay,
Batman.
Yeah, please.
Don't think there's enough room. Don't think there's enough room in the cover story in the page.
Show me the giraffe guy where he's just hanging off the neck of a giraffe.
Oh my god. No, honestly, one thing that I think this could maybe be leading to, and I don't need it, and I don't really put a whole bunch of eggs in this basket, but I think that it's possible. This could lead to maybe Yamato figuring out a solution to the people of Abisu Town or whatever, like with the smiles and stuff. Everyone was upset that like Zoro, you know, had that moment and then never confronted Vegapunk about it. And I'm just like, what's he gonna do? You know, but like if Yamato can maybe find a way, then maybe that's what this cover story could be leading to as well. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting.
I do think that Zoro did though, because we never got closure on what he asked Vegapunk when they first came to Egghead. Because remember, Lilith stepped up and he's like, "I have something I need to like ask of you or tell you to do," or something like that. I can't remember what the verbiage was.
That wasn't the right wording in the officials. It was just like it wasn't worded quite like that. Like everyone was it's like the crown jewel thing all over again. People are reading too much into a false translation.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So I don't think that, and even so, like Vegapunk might not really just off the dome, you know a way of fixing that issue.
Smiles,
but I think it'd be interesting if we ended up getting something adjacent to that. Because I mean, Neomads is still out there, and they were the subject of the latest and greatest cover story before the one we're in right now, right? So like maybe that ties in. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing.
Right. Are we ready now, though, to move into the chapter proper?
Let's go. Oh, dude, I'm so ready. This
so
first page.
I'm low-key. I'm low-key ready.
I'm low-key ready. Okay.
Crazy. Yeah, this first page had me absolutely screaming and shouting. I was reading it on my phone at first, and then I was like, and I hit the lock screen button. I went to my computer, I put it on the big screen, and I was we're eating this chapter, folks, because we immediately open up with the faction down in the underworld facing off with what's called a groggy saurus, which is so cool. And we see your absolute favorite of the new giant warrior pirates, Lucas.
Yes,
we see Goldberg flexing his shield, which becomes gigantic and is very expressive and emotive. And very quickly after, we do get confirmation this is a homie. This is amazing. Like, oh my god, dude. I'm here for it. Like that's a W.
With the first like big showing of Goldberg, which we had just discussed a couple chapters ago, like we were ready to see more from him, and then to follow it up with a combo attack of Zoro and Sanji, which does not happen as often as it used to. Like, oh yes please, yes please. What a way to open. This is literally the first 2 pages of the chapter. Like, what a way to open a chapter.
Yeah. And like a few interesting points as well is like, so groggy saurus, groggy obviously kind of sounds like brogy, but like we've heard the word groggy before in canon, in the groggy ring, which is a part of the Davy Back fight.
Yes.
So like it's really interesting as well, because Davy Back fights are supposed to have hundreds of years worth of lore. And you know, the first one ever was supposed to have been held on Hachinosu, Pirate Island, which is nearby-ish. And so it's really interesting because we know that dinosaurs are also really old and have hundreds of years worth of it. So I'm just like, is there any connection here? It's really cool. And then I know you're a fan, Lucas, of seeing when people really get to flex their roles. So seeing Sanji and Goldberg talk about cooking here and like, it's got a lot of fat, but you know, like, dude, this was peak. I love that. What a great intro to a great chapter, you know.
And I got to check the homie shield off of my bingo card, which was awesome. I almost didn't put it on there because I was like, I thought it was pretty obvious. but I'm glad I did. Got to mark that bad boy off. I'm not gonna lie, I love Nash already. Dudes woke up, made a funny
Nash
face.
for
Going,
Nakama.
wait, and then like, and then he
Yeah,
deflected a
hashtag-
dinosaur.
Hashtag Nash for Nakama. Put that in the comments, folks.
Well,
like I'm
we were
here
talking-
for it. This is so cool.
We were talking a few chapters ago about Usopp getting a weapon that could change its size depending on its wielder. I'm kind of looking at one right now. I know it's not a weapon, but Usopp with a shield that can change its size? Yes, please. Yes, please. But I still want Goldberg to have him, so I don't think it's gonna happen. Just spitballing. Cube, what are your thoughts on this homie shield?
So, I honestly, I love this, and I'm gonna bring up, even though it's a comment from the next page, but it's connected. It's when and it's that's Nack's take on when Goldberg is talking about what happened to his father, and the homing appeared years afterwards. Well, Nack made a comment of the Straw Hats made a comment about Zeus, right?
Yeah.
Nack said if you actually look at Goldberg's face, it looks just like Zeus's face. So Nack had the idea that what if Zeus is basically made of the will of Goldberg's father?
Because I was thinking the same thing for Nash.
That's crazy.
It's the same. It's
That's
true.
insane.
It is true. It is Zeus's face, and he was the most innocent of her three miseries. Remember?
Yeah.
Even when she did a new one, Hera had a more of a big mom, Mother Caramel style to her personality, while Zeus is all innocent. So it's like the point that's what the point that Nack can be here, but that was also he told me after he read the chapter.
That's such a good catch because like legit, if you face swap Goldberg and Zeus, it's identical. It's the same.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
Even this
and the fact that
the little Zeus next to Goldberg in this page right here looks just like Goldberg.
Yes. And it's interesting because when he said that, it made me think of Zeus had, other than the Straw Hat, Zeus has only talked in Ebath to one other person, Rodo. Which I find interesting when you know Rodo's connection to Goldberg. So yeah, so it's like...
I love that. Nack is cooking.
So do I.
Like 100%. Like that's crazy. But man.
Because this is why also... Yeah?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because of that point, obviously, it's still a theory, but if that's the case, this could explain some of the homings, why some homings have like big mom personality completely, but some of them just have like a whole range of them. Like, I'm not wondering if her taking people's lifespan is also to create future homings, like keeping those souls. And that's what gives their personality. Yeah, I think this is becoming more and more clear. Now we're finding trace of a descendant of that person and looks very similar to that homing. So before it was like a big theory, now it's like
because especially with the miseries, it always seemed to me like those were definitely made out of Big Mom's soul or whatever. But it would make sense if she fought someone as strong and powerful as a giant, a warrior giant especially, and would be like, oh, their soul is worthy of being one of the miseries. Like that makes a lot of sense as well.
That would pull into her dream as well, is that she wanted everyone at her table, people of every race and creed, at her tea party, and maybe she couldn't convince a giant to come willingly, so she had to pull the soul out of one through fear, but that doesn't count. And she's like, I don't count that as like an actual giant at my table, so that's why she still persisted up until like current day whole cake and stuff like that. So I think that's really interesting. And I know a lot of people are speculating that she might make a return in some form or another into the story, because we know Oda, we didn't see nobody. And this is just more fuel for that fire. And I love that.
Think about how she treated Zeus as well compared to the other homies of the misery.
Yeah.
If he didn't come from her soul, and think about how she treats Pudding as well. If it's a giant, but it's a giant soul and not the actual giant, and it's already shown that even though she wants to collect all races, she's not without prejudice. towards, you know, a race in general. Like, so it would make sense that, oh, it's a different type of soul, so she's not seeing it as, I hate to say it this way, but as human as her other homies.
This also brings to question if Loki had actually met with Big Mom, or if all she knew about giants was maybe through that interaction. Just kind of putting a theory in a theory, so I'm not really putting much weight into this, but if the only interaction she had with a giant was somebody who is like Goldberg or Zeus like, that might explain how we saw that very, very chill, you know, silhouette of Loki back in Whole Cake.
Yeah.
So back then, and it's, you know, set in a post Ennis Lobby arc, when Lola first talked about Loki, he said that basically he became obsessed with her after the first time he laid eyes on her. So we don't know for Big Mom, but we know that Lola, and we know Loki has been like in prison at least 6 years. So when did it happen? So there could be a case that if Lola was with Big Mom, Loki also met Big Mom, because Lola did meet Loki at one point. That's how he fell in love with her.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all going to be important sooner rather than later. And again, that could lead into maybe somehow getting Lin back into the story, which I think a lot of people had that on their bingo cards as well. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But that's a huge W for Knack. I feel like impending. I feel like that's such a great idea that he had. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't get over Goldberg looking just like Zeus.
Moving on into the next bits, we see that Loki is talking about the Holy Knights, and revealing to everyone around him that is who pieced him up the way that he is right now. And it does also confirm that he did in fact go off island to cause a ruckus, which a lot of people were thinking already. But he didn't get all the way off island enough to like cause a mess in Marie Joie or anything. So to what extent, we don't know. But this is a really interesting interaction we get here between him and Luffy. What do you guys think about this?
I won't lie, that the meat scene kind of gives me the callback to
Don't call it that. Don't call it that.
The post Ennis Lobby after the nothing happened over Zoro, and then Luffy comes with the big barrel of alcohol, trying to put it through his belly button, and then Nami has to punch him, saying, "What are you doing?" But he loves this.
Yeah, he loves it.
Crazy.
I love Sanji referring to Zoro as soaring broccoli. That's a really good part of this little interaction. Like I said, I do love him and Goldberg talking about cooking, of course. Yeah, Luffy smacking Loki in the face with his meat is just hilarious. It's just hilarious, man. It's so Luffy. And then after he feeds him the meat, he's like, got something stuck in your throat. Hang on, I'll bring soup. And starts running at him with like boiling hot soup. I love how fast it goes from like, oh, there's knights in the government, to Luffy trying to unalive Loki with food.
Yeah.
I am really... Oh, go ahead, Cube.
I was just gonna say, Loki is even more giving more of the Frankie vibes when he was introduced in Water 7.
Yeah.
He's giving more of that Frankie vibe as well.
Yeah, I feel it as well. I think that's another bingo I get to mark off soon. Loki's a good guy. You heard it here first.
Hashtag Loki did nothing wrong.
Hashtag Loki did nothing wrong.
I was a little off put by some of Luffy's behavior through the middle parts of this chapter. It seemed a little uncharacteristic. Like, we've seen him share his food so sparingly with so few individuals throughout the story, and we know that that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's plenty to go around here, but not only is he sharing his food, he's like borderline force feeding and like kind of doting like on making sure that Loki is recovering, which we find out Loki is recovering at like a miraculous speed. but like it's like it feels overbearing, and that's very uncharacteristic of Luffy to me, especially when we get a reveal of the information that Loki had offered to Luffy. I don't know. Do you guys think that this is actually like this is typical Luffy behavior? It feels very different to me, right?
Yeah, it feels like something he would do for a crewmate if they were seriously injured, and that's saying a lot. Like Kube had said in the one of the greatest arcs ever, Thriller Bark. Zoro, he tried to do it with Zoro as well after Zoro's massive injuries. So for Luffy to be almost, I don't want to say trusting, but like that caring of Loki already, I think that interaction, I've said it 100 times, I'll probably say it 100 times more. I think the interaction between Loki and Luffy was way more deep than what we know, and whatever he has said to Luffy is the reason for this behavior. Also, I got to shout out real quick Gerd after Luffy burns Loki, giving him the thumbs up. Like, heck yeah. Good job.
So I totally agree with what Vex is saying, but for me it's something that the best thing I can give you a parallel to is with Rayleigh. Like when he met Reddy, he was happy to see the guy, but the moment he found out that he was part of Roger's crew and used to be a nakama of Shanks, it's like adoration. So I think it's a mixture of Luffy be able to, we've been talking about Luffy's ability to sense people's true intention, like can know like that person's actually a good guy, and with him talking about Shanks, him assuming that him and Shanks are like best friends. So it kind of makes you think that that's why Luffy is treating him like he does with the other Straw Hat, is because of the Shanks. Not like he had the permission of Shanks. With everything, he's assuming him and Shanks are in great terms. Type
of thing. Why though? Because when he first met Loki straight up was like, I don't like that guy. Like,
yeah, but it's the thing where talking about how Luffy he doesn't listen to what people say. He knows, he can sense their feelings, and I think it's mostly the feeling aspect of it. Like he senses something familiar, or something like that. So I could explain
it's
like
that.
It's
like how Buggy talk mad trash about Shanks, but deep down, like Luffy knew there was like a connection there just by the interactions they had in Impel Down. So like I think I can kind of get with that. I just like it still seems pretty uncharacteristic to me, and I like that Oda drew it in such a way where it's goofy, it's silly, and like it kind of like lightens the mood from there's a lot going on right now, and some of it's very dark, like we've been talking about in our recent discussions. Some of it is very dark, and so to get these little moments, it's like, especially after Egghead and with the anime returning and about to get into some of the darkest and most dense of subjects that Oda has ever covered in his intellectual property. I think this is really interesting because we don't know how many more of these goofy moments we're gonna get before this arc really takes off.
Yeah because I feel like we're not even in like the middle of the build up to the climax. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we are still so far away from the climax, and like what we're seeing right now is just the first step of the build up. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I felt that reading this chapter up until a certain point, which we'll get into later, spoilers, but yeah, like it's parts of this arc really do feel like it has not even gotten close to winding, like to like going into full effect, whereas like some other things that are happening, I'm just like, wow, this feels very climactic. So it's very interesting, and it just proves that he's such a madman. This final saga is built completely different. Egghead was structured like no other arc we had seen before, and Elbaf is certainly blowing everyone's expectations out of the water. So nobody can really truly predict what is going to happen next, but that all being said, we have gotten a few crew W's, like the homie shield thing. That's a W. And we have another W that we'll be talking about once we get to the next part of the chapter. But anyone else have anything specifically about this interaction before we get into a pretty big reveal?
Before we get into Buggy's dad, I really want to talk about, I don't know what it is lately, the past few chapters, every time we get a reaction shot from Hydruden, Oda is just killing the detail of emotion on that dude's face. Like he looks so just done
Stern.
with stern. And also I just got to shout out again Goldberg down in the corner cooking, but nonetheless, like Hydrauden, he looks so, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like he wants, in my eyes, right, this is how I'm comprehending this. Obviously he is taken aback by the fact that Loki's up here, he's talking, people are interacting with Loki. He does not like that at all, but there's something about the way that Oda's drawing these reaction shots that make me think that, like, it's not that he's on the fence, but like it's like he wants to believe his brother and he wants to hear what his brother has to say, but at the same time he knows that any moment Loki could say the wrong thing and he'll take him out. Like it's so tense. Yeah, he's locked in. Best way to put it.
So before we go to the next part, there was one. I won't lie. When I read it, I really laughed hard for that interaction. You know, Loki's been talking through the whole arc, big how he fears nothing, bring me anything, even if I'm half unalive, I'll still fight it. I love that dialogue where at one point where he receives the big piece of meat on him, pause, he just screams, "Get him away from me!" I'm sorry, that is the funniest thing. Guy talking big about everything. Now the bad thing, get him away from me. I'd be dead.
It kind of reminded me of like Helmeppo, like at the before the glow up, like when he was like a daddy's boy, like little spoiled, like get him away. Like I don't like that's kind of like the vibe it gave me. Like it's so funny.
Dude, I laughed so hard, and I'll tell you what I said. What's up, Loki? Not talking your big game that you did at the beginning of the arc. You're scared of food?
I think it's also really interesting that like another bit of characterization that it's kind of showing us but not telling us in a way, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Loki is super Luffy coded in so many different ways, and we just got information a few chapters back, like I think 2 or 1 chapter ago, where Gerd is like the doctor that we know of. Like we don't know of a single other doctor from like this island except for her, if I'm correct. So other than Chopper, she's like the best doctor on this island as far as we as viewers know, as readers know. And she's like, no, this is gonna take him months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden dude starts chowing down on meat, and like Luffy style, he's just like magically able to sit up, and they like even comment on like how, oh, you're doing better already. So is this like a
trait of conquerors that they can drink or eat and it heals them? Does Brook have conquerors hockey?
If not
he drank
that,
milk.
okay. Well, no, what I'm thinking is that like it could be something about and bringing Brook up. I don't want to like, I wasn't gonna bring Brook up in this because like that specifically has to do with milk and calcium and stuff like that. But like when it comes to the meat aspect, like I'm thinking that it might just be something that proficient hockey users are able to do in like a life return, like Senbei Kikon type of thing, in giving yourself, you're able to get as much nutrition as you possibly can and replenish your hockey and send that to the parts of your body that need it the most or something. So maybe that's like reading way too much into it, but I'm thinking that this dude is just like ridiculously naturally gifted, or maybe even disciplined in that kind of same ability that Luffy has, or it could be tied to devil fruit usage, because we still don't know what's up with this devil fruit. So I don't know, it could be of many things. It's very interesting though, because they go out of the way to show us right after telling us that he won't be good for months. Now he's just magically getting better.
Yeah.
I won't lie, and I'm happy that you're the one who brought it up, you know, you being, you know, the cook. You might even have an answer, and it's based off there was, I think, the 4th movie where Luffy faced against someone who had basically a Sparrow's devil fruit when it was not canon, and it was a Logia. Property of syrup, but it was basically a candy Logia. And what was interesting is that this whole movie, there was a lot of lore about how sugar and salt affect a person, and the way that Luffy found a weakness, so similar to Crocodile with water, Sanji gave him a bag of flour. And we've seen many times how salt how can impact a will, and how sugar with whole cake, like Big Mom eating the cake and suddenly her will comes back. So I've always wondered, you know, like the impact of food, especially salt and sugar, you know, on people. So it's just, you know, an interesting thing that you brought up. I feel like I do feel like food does have and Oda has been inspired in Skypiea talking about the five senses, the sixth sense with instinct. One of the five senses is taste. So I've been wondering, how does food actually play a role in the story?
Yeah,
it's not the first
to
time.
go back to the Kumadori fight in Eni's lobby when he was like locked in the fridge or whatever, he ate every single scrap of food in there and instantly digested it in like a second flat through what we had been just told that he was ridiculously proficient in is life return, and that's what allowed him to move his hair around and stuff like that. And then like again, and just before that in Water 7 with Wanzi, a lot of people speculate that him eating that flour and using that as a part of his ramen kempo, and like him using his nose hairs to cut the noodles and stuff, as gross as it is, it's also an extension of life return.
Yeah,
it could go further like with Polly's rope action, and it like he's like basically imbuing hockey into a weapon of sorts, because a rope is a weapon to him, like we've seen with Blackblade users and like we've seen with the Amazon Lily Kuja tribe members with their arrows. So I think it's really interesting being able to do these out of the box things with your hockey to extend it to different parts of your body and or things even outside of your body. So it could all be connected, and this just kind of feeds into my agenda that like there are no three types of hockey. Hockey's just hockey. There's no actual limitations. You can do whatever you could think about with it's literally the power of imagination.
Yeah, I think the life return is probably the one that makes the most sense to me, especially with how deep Oda is into mythologies and stuff like that. A lot of mythologies have myths around animals giving you their life when you eat their meat and stuff like that. Like pause. Almost ingesting their soul. Yes, pause. Almost ingesting their souls or whatever, Again, pause. But like I like the aspect of it. Maybe they're using it, like you said, with like almost in tandem with hockey and with what Kube said with the five senses. Taste, maybe that's like not necessarily hockey, but something akin to it with taste. Like that's the aspect of that sense. Which once again, bringing up Kumadori is brilliant because but it's I like that. I like that train of thought a lot. Let's move on though. Oh, go ahead.
One last point to add to that is like we've seen with attack cuisine, which is like a traditional, like 100 recipes that were crafted in the Kamabaka Queendom, and it's like they're supposed to be able to like make you stronger, push you past your limits, and there was even like that's like the Sim Sim whip that like Sanji. There's so many different like little breadcrumbs like of how significant, and I don't think taste really has anything to do with it so much as nutrition. Like it doesn't matter if it tastes good. Like I don't think a rumble ball tastes good
faster than what a normal body would. I like that aspect. That's clever. But
I could yap about food all day. Let's move on.
So Loki, we find out, knows a little bit about how it feels to be left behind by, let's say, a great pirate, as we see yet another Loki flashback. We got another one. We had one just previously, I think in 2 chapters ago, but we get another little baby Loki, which is adorable, I'm not gonna lie, asking a silhouetted figure to take him with him. It's Rocks. It's Rocks.
This is insane. This is so cool. Oh my god.
Oh, I'm looking at it again and I'm freaking out, guys. Whew. Just the shut up, Newgate.
Yeah, so this is one of the craziest reveals for a number of reasons. Like I put it on my bingo card that somebody is going to mention Rox's name, which we did not get. But clearly this is his silhouette here depicted. We have all of the context we need. That is confirmed Rox right there. Yeah. Anyone who's refuting that is coping, but this is insane.
No, but Q also confirmed it on X when the leaks were coming out and stuff like that. He confirmed it. Yeah, it's definitely Rox from the officials.
Yeah, so it's really crazy because like we knew that Loki and Luffy had so much connected, and where they had so many different things going, you know, to parallel, and this is such a subversion of that, because we see that Loki has some sort of like a disdain, whether it's like playful like with Buggy, or whether it's like legitimate and earnest. He does not like red hair. He does not like Shanks, but his Shanks like figure is none other than Roxy Zebek, which is crazy. If you guys can't tell by my profile picture, I'm a big fan. So like,
big fan.
Big fan, yeah.
You don't have to use a blade on a kid. You get. That's what I was like. Whoa. Oh, sorry, Cube. Go ahead. I'm just sharing the hype.
So for me, is obviously I am going to take credit on my Garp and Roger video connection, because that was one of the point I brought up, is how Garp had a habit of calling former Rocks members, all of them brats, which is weird because I think Whitebeard and him are like 1 year or 2 years apart, which is weird. So I find it very interesting that that's the same term that Rocks used. But I won't lie, with Loki's age, and it does fit around the same timeline that Kaido, because the age difference when Kaido met Rocks, it does, for me, I still believe that the Rocks pirates were more like people that came together, an alliance for one, you know, big move, instead of like this crew that's been together for 20 years. Like, it's always also around the same timeline. Like, you know, he's recruiting people for something.
Yeah.
Which most likely is God Valley.
I'm about to break your heart, brother. In the officials, he didn't use Brett. But similar.
He didn't use Brett.
He used Whelp.
Whelp.
Okay. The TCB. Okay. Oh, it's okay, no problem. But with that, I still like the fact that does seem to think that everything about the Rocks, if it's an alliance, it's that this is around God Valley 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Would be because of Loki's age.
Yeah. I think there's so much more to read into here, just by this, like, just literally these 2.5 panels basically that we have to go off of, and I'm blown away by how hyped Oda can make me about this character. Still, like, you know, it's insane. And I want to give a major shout out to Kush Daddy, a member of the community, absolute goat, who had pointed out in conversations between me and him, as well as in Daxake's reaction. It's really interesting. We only see his one eye from him, his left eye, in both of these interactions in the silhouette. And that's the most that we get out of him, which is really, really interesting, because obviously there's Emu parallels. We only get the one eye from Emu as well.
Luffy
just
several times holding his eye, the scar under his eye, pointing at his left eye. Like, there's been numerous videos about that too.
There's also an interview from Oda from a long time ago. I'm paraphrasing massively because I don't have the receipts on that, but Oda mentioned that we will get an eye patch in the story eventually. Is this the eye patch? You know, like, is this that pirate? And that's hype. That's really, really crazy. Just like, major shout out to Kush Daddy, friend of the channel, friend of the community, absolute goat. But I wasn't even thinking that until he mentioned it, and now I'm kind of fully on board. That's like a headcanon for me now. Like,
in your profile picture, he has 2 eyes.
Yeah, but this is like showing the pupil.
Yeah, true. Big facts.
And like, we don't know the time separation here. This could be like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Plus, we can't trust silhouettes. You know,
never trust silhouettes. Like, because I said that guy's gonna have a red nose, a big honking red nose. He's gonna be Buggy's father. Blue hair, Buggy's dad.
Dude.
Look at that eye.
I told you.
Looks just like
Buggy. Dude, all the other points of the Buggy father thing. I'm gonna say this chapter also proved one thing, that people assuming that Rocks is the same type of emperor or you know, pirate as Buggy is, it went down the hill, because I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Being able to humble Loki that was said to be just born different, and, you know, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, it does seem that the Zebex was him. Himbeck.
Listen,
Call him
Bucky
Himbeck.
just
Don't
hasn't-
Zebex anymore. Himbeck.
Okay.
Buggy hasn't
Back.
reached his true potential yet, is what it is. Wait till he awakens the chop chop
Okay.
with his blue hockey.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
With Arlong, right? With Arlong, right? Yeah, they're gonna team
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
The East Blue villains.
And then Loki down here channeling every 10-year-old YouTube video comment from modern day teenagers saying I was born in the wrong era. No, that's interesting to hear him say though.
He
But
is so
regard-
Midwestern emo. He's
He
like, I hate
is,
this
dude.
town.
He's like, I love brand new. Mom Jeans is my favorite modern band.
I'm gonna say this between all of our different agendas of what we're gonna get as an origin story for Zebex, Rocks, the fact that it's silhouette distilled to this the God Valley flashback of Kuma, we didn't even see him at least once, but we know he was there. People were talking to him. We just couldn't see him. The way Sengoku introduced him, that one panel in Wano looked like an older dragon, or someone that could be connected to Dragon or Blackbeard. We're supposed to. I think it's still shrouded in mystery because the moment we'll get an actual image of Zebex drawn, I think we're gonna be able to tell his family line.
Oh yeah,
Like
immediately.
he's really recognizable because he has never done that at that level to hide that person's identity.
I want to agree with you, but at the same time, there's the whole argument that like every single female looks like Nami, and it's just like that's just how Oda draws faces. So there's a level of like yes, there's a reason he's kept this person shrouded behind a silhouette for so long, and then there's also a level of like Oda only has so many faces in his bag. You know what I mean?
Big facts.
No. You know what? That is a good point. That is a good point. I will give you that.
I don't know.
I mean, you know me.
big-
I gotta play devil's advocate for both sides. I gotta sit on the fence on that until we get more concrete information. I'm not really gonna put too much stake in that, but it is very interesting that it has been, other than Emu, other than Emu, the most enigmatic figure that we have.
Yeah, I dislike the whole all of the females in One Piece look the same because that's a Toei problem. It's not an Oda problem. He is very good at distincting who is who when it comes to women. It is Toei who does that. It is all of their women look the same, not Oda's. Just gonna throw that out there.
Who's a woman?
Who is a woman?
Crazy. No,
I'm just kidding.
but
I do have a question for you guys. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, because it's still part of the thing, but it's something a bit different. So I'll go after you.
I was just gonna like spend another second gabbing and yapping and in awe about how these 3 panels like just give me so much hope and so much curiosity about the future of the story, the future of the community, like what theories are about to be spit, like what conversations are about to be had over just these 3 panels. It doesn't even take up like a full page. Like it's actually crazy how Oda can keep getting away with this kind of stuff,
He can't keep getting away
Go
with
ahead.
this. Sorry.
So, are we going to assume that panel of rocks is an Elbath?
Yeah.
Or no?
Like, where else would it be?
Okay.
Well, we know Loki has been off island, so maybe not.
That is true.
The reason why is because Big Mom made a big thing saying that she hasn't been in Elbath ever since she was exiled. That's what I'm asking. Because if the rocks were an Elbath, that's what I'm wondering if this is maybe Loki was somewhere else at one point in his life.
This could be pre-Lin,
Yeah.
like
that's true as well.
Yeah,
like
also, it
because
could've
we
been-
saw
it could've been
Whitebeard
this
going
time
around recruiting people in
Yeah, true.
Kaido's like half a panel flashback that we so I don't know, like there's so many different, and like I keep thinking about the eye because yes, we saw like Sengoku's like vision of him in the sky or like or like in the how high does your ceiling go, both of his eyes are closed in that image, whereas both of his eyes are open in the Sengoku like flashback monologue. And it's like this could easily be that like we don't know when those images were cemented in those people's minds, or maybe it's like a Zoro situation because Zoro has one eye permanently closed, or like I don't know, like dude, it's crazy. It's actually insane. Like my mind is going overdrive on this.
Guys, look, you want to hear? Let me put just a little bit of seasoning on top of this already amazing dish that we're having from these 3 panels, as Vex said. We're about to hear. This means we're gonna hear Rox's voice in the anime soon.
Watch, it's like emus, and it's just like shrouded, and it's like vocoded,
so
like it.
I mean,
wow, I
if you
can't
think
believe
of
they
it-
got Bon Jovi for this.
I mean, we will get when we get to Elba. The fun fact in the God Valley fling, the Xebex never actually had a Oda box.
Nope.
People were talking to Xebex, and he never replied to.
I just need. As far as the anime, yes, I'm hype about everything coming up in the anime. Egghead Part 2 gonna be peak, absolutely. But like, as far as the manga, I just need one person, like Loki, say his name. And I'll get that. I'll get that checked off my bingo card. Just say it. Just do
Listen,
it.
Gabon is on Elbath. Gabon is on Elbath.
Oh
So,
my god.
If anyone's gonna tell us about Rock, it makes sense for it to be in. At
Honestly,
least on this arc. Or Loki now. Like, Jesus, what am I saying?
so honestly, with now I kind of seeing a pattern because Oda has changed how he does flashback ever since since Wano, right? With Kuma's flashback and Odin's flashback, and he does seem to take someone we're not expecting to give us like a merging of all those people that we know of today, but their come-ups. We got that with the Odin flashback, finding out how Roger became Pirate King. Then with the Kuma flashback, they started the Revs and all of those stuff. I wouldn't be shocked that if it's not Loki, it could be someone else on this island. But that's maybe how we'll get God Valley. We might get it from someone we're not expecting to.
Yeah.
Because we never expected
that,
Odin
'cause
to introduce Roger's stories through Odin.
Exactly. And that's someone who's very centric to that arc and could not
Yeah.
really be tied in with any other arc. And like with
Exactly.
the Kuma flashback, yes, it was partly Kuma, but it was also partly Vegapunk. And that's, again, somebody who is very arc centric. Egghead was literally all about, you know, the satellites and Stella and their relationship with Kuma, obviously. And so we see Gabon here, who's been here for a while, has a kid here and whatnot, so he's arc-centric, but Loki is perhaps the most arc-centric character we've gotten in Elbaf so far. So could be either, could be both. I'm here
Literally, since right after we got out of the Lego castle, it's all been about Loki. So yeah, I'm cool with him being the one to give us a little bit more on Rocks.
I won't lie.
Like I said, it
think,
could be little column A, little column B. We could get some of Loki's perspective as a child and some of Gabon's perspective as like an old man. So I'm here for that as well.
And we also could get something like Kuma, like everything about God Valley without actually getting God Valley, like because if he never went there, we won't get what happened there, but we might get a lot of the other context, you know, the build up to it as well. Because we still don't know.
If we get eyewitness testimonies from everyone who was at God Valley, except for like you know what I mean? If we just get like little bits and pieces, but we never actually see what went down, like I don't know how I'm gonna feel.
I'll lose it. I will. I'll ride down the silver slide. Like.
Oh no. But speaking of Gabon, though. Moving from Loki to Gabon, he's on this next page, which is absolute hype. I think we spent enough time talking about. We have to get to the rest of the chapter, guys.
Yeah, we did the same thing with the Hoagie Shield. It's a good chapter this week, guys.
It is a good, it's really good. I'm loving it. But we get right back into Dory and Brogy talking about the Draugrs and they're just dropping them like flies. Like they're having a good time. They have absolute exhilaration on their faces, just handling these nightmare creatures, right?
Oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Look at Gabon smiling as he chops this thing in half.
Yeah, but
is that Loki? I got him.
Like how yeah, he's like, is that meant to be Loki? Like they know that's so fun. Like they are literally not even the least bit afraid, which is really cool. Like I like seeing that these guys, these creatures constructed of like legitimate nightmare fuel and fear, and what these guys are just laughing, having a blast. Like
It's so clever. Not clever. It's so what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a good time. Like I love how we go from like 2 intense scenes of them getting attacked by the dinosaur, the cool homie shield, which is like the brevity, and then we get Loki dropping a rocks bomb on us, and then some brevity of Dory and Brogy messing stuff up. And
again, this is supposed to be like some foul, chaotic, heinous shit that the Holy Knights are pulling, and again, Dory and Brogy are just like unaffected, unflappable,
and they know
in the face of these.
They know what power it is because someone says, "Good thing these are based off of a child's imagination." Like, how didn't Ange share that when she called it in?
Everything comes back to Ange. No, I think it's really interesting is what's really interesting is they're posing the same question that we did a few discussions back. They're like, if the kids knew more about these things that they fear, would these be stronger? And so I'm just like, Oda is accounting for so many lines of thought in every one of these chapters. Like there's so much going on here, even though not much time is passing. It's really crazy, you know.
It could also be their experience. Remember in Egghead? They based, by look at the Gorosei, they based their experience for saying that they've never seen a creature like that. Like they've seen so many stuff, and they're 160 years old. So it could be like when they were coming up as pirates, when they got a reputation, they dealt with like Holy Knights abilities without knowing the Holy Knights. You know what I mean? Like they witnessed those abilities.
Yeah.
So they
I think
aware of it.
It's just with them knowing that the kids are asleep and being kidnapped, and with like they literally mentioned in the previous panel, is that meant to be Loki? So they know that these are like a sham iteration, and they're just tying it to the kids. I think it's pretty easy to put 2 and 2 together, but there may be more in there to read into.
Can we talk about Gabon's insane observation hockey being like, oh, there's definitely 3 people on this island trying to hide their hockey. That is wild.
Yeah, that's a W. That's crazy because we had a full conversation when Luffy and Gabon were about to face off when we were left on that cliffhanger, and I spit for like 30 minutes about how I think he's like an observation god, and this just kind of adds fuel to that fire. Yeah, I don't know if he's like the peak as far as observation goes, but I think he's a cut above everything we've seen so far.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Could be why Shanks learned how to be an observer. Could you imagine that's why he kills observation hockey? It's because Gabon used to spy on him when he was a kid. Like, being like, don't be messing around.
I still think that's tied to Mihawk, because Mihawk was his original concept and his original epithet that was scrapped was supposed to be clairvoyant. Like, I think that Hawkeye Mihawk is probably closely tied to the reason why Shanks is observation killing, but it'd be interesting if the ball got rolling a little bit before the Mihawk rivalry when he was just a little apprentice on the Roger Pirates. So that'd be really cool depth.
To even push it the needle even further, there are cases, and a lot of us here do believe that there is a chance that Rayleigh and Mihawk grew up on the same ship. Mihawk and Shanks, if he's Rayleigh's son. So it could be that both of their expertise observation hockey is because of the Roger Pirates. You know?
Bro.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest proponent of the Rayleigh son theory for Mihawk, but it's definitely interesting to think about, especially like with what you just said with the ties to observation hockey, and now what we're seeing feat wise from Gabon. Like, crazy.
I will say this. This is actually what Gabon said is very important, because we've all speculated Lafitte entering the room where Doflamingo, Kuma, and Mihawk are there and unaware of him, as well as Sengoku and Suru.
Ooh, that's true.
We've never got confirmation that it is possible, Dragon Ball style, to hide your presence. Yeah. This is the first time someone has admitted to that. So that's big. So we know with hockey, you can also hide your presence. Now.
They're in Zetsu.
Zetsu.
They're hiding their aura.
They're hiding their aura.
I love it because like I knew Girbon was going to be in some form or another somebody who introduced new concepts that we as readers and viewers had not really thought to put too much stake in, like as far as like applications of hockey once you approach the ceiling. And like I think that this is in more way than one a way, because he's showing us that he can see through their guises and that their guises exist in the first place. So that's a great point, Kube, because this is like a two-pronged way of like implementing new hockey applications that we have speculated, a lot of us, for quite some time now. Some of us have even written comprehensive systems for tabletop role-playing games where, you know, we've implemented but like now we're getting that like actually mentioned in the story. It's huge. It's phenomenal. You know what I mean? And again, Oda does that in just 2 little tiny panels. Insane. Like this chapter is stacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, because this is something it's like my Roman Empire. I said there are too many strong-willed people in that room for not sensing the feet only after he starts talking. So I'm happy we actually have a confirmation of that ability existing in One Piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to say about Scopper and his clearly amazing observation hockey before we move on to the firefighting?
Oh, I could keep yapping, but let's keep it moving. Let's go.
Scopper yap on.
Okay.
Firefighters. So the firefighters arrive at the fire right as the children are about to walk into the flames. Saul is cheering them on as they start to try and take out the base of the fire. And then we see good old Sommers talking to Gunko and being like, so they're about to walk into the flames and burn to unalive, and what's going to happen to them? Will they wake up? And Gunko's reply to this sent literal chills down my spine when I read it. They'll wake up from the heat, wail and cry for their parents, and be consumed by flames and burned into bones, I assume. So nonchalant. And Sommers is just like, oh, think of the emotion. Like, what? It's harder for me to see any kind of redeeming qualities for the gods and knights. Yeah, when they keep doing things like this. Like, we were talking a couple chapters ago, I believe, about Gunko and her love of Brooke's music, and maybe like that'll tie into how they defeat her or even turn her to the side of good. But with comments like this, I don't think that's even possible anymore.
I like that Oda is painting them in such a kind of a dichotomous, way. It's like, like that whole thing that broke the internet about the dress. Like, is it blue and black or is it white and gold or whatever? Like,
blue and black, but yes.
like when you have like that kind of like, it's almost like a holographic thing where when you look at it from one angle, you see like a different image. And I'm really, really loving that we get such cool character moments, and then like from both ends of the spectrum, we see them just enjoying themselves and having a time, and then we see this absolutely diabolical work. And I get it. We've seen that with like characters like Doflamingo before. I'm going to mention Doflamingo every single discussion. I feel like that we have a Holy Knight on panel, and I'm not mad about it because he's literally my favorite villain in One Piece. Right. And these people are kind of clawing their way up there.
Yeah.
Up into the Pantheon. So.
A lot of One Piece villains fail to seem menacing to me. Like, they'll either seem like, oh, like this guy's bad, but I know Luffy's gonna take him out, or this guy's this, or you know what I mean. But I know that they will be defeated in this. There's, with the way that they structure their battles, the way that they're doing this, like how meticulously and planned it is, how nonchalant they are, how diabolical, because there's just no other better word to describe it. Like, I'm actually sitting here like, how are they going to defeat these guys as a whole? Because if this is just 3 of them and what 3 of them can do, and I know that the Straw Hats can take care of these 3, what could all
Listen.
of them together do? Like, and that's
If I
the
know One
scary part.
Piece, if I know One Piece and I yap about it quite a lot, quite a bit, we got
never
quite a
would've
bit of
guessed.
a backlog. But if I know One Piece at all, my best guess as to how they're gonna defeat the God's Knights is either the power of friendship or Luffy's gonna punch really hard. But who knows?
He's not just gonna beat him with
Maybe
a
we'll
big
break the
punch.
formula.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a really big punch.
Maybe we'll break the mold here with these characters. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't think we're getting another form change. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like when we first got Gear 4th, or when we got, you know, Snake Man, or when we got, you know, obviously Gear 5. Like, I don't think we're getting another, you know, form change. So this is, maybe we're getting the power of friendship. I know a lot of people are pulling out the Gunko for Nakama, you know, agenda, and this chapter, this panel that we're talking about right now,
Yeah.
kind of shook that.
Yeah.
But there's still the depth to these characters that leaves it on the table just slightly. So I'm not ruling anything out, but I'm not really like leaning too heavy onto any one agenda right now
Yeah.
regarding the Holy Knights. But I think that they're very interesting, very thought-provoking, very, very well written so far.
I agree. I can agree with that.
I won't lie, I might be the only one. You know, obviously we know the gods are going to be some people very strong, but what they just did, proved to me compared to Kaido that the Straw Hat have a chance against the gods. Like
Really?
Saturn telling Bonnie just give up, but then doing the Gear 5 thing, and then obviously it's not as strong as Luffy, but you could see the reaction to like there's something that's fierce with them, that they have to go to their power is not limitless. Like it's not like Kaido just pulling up and destroying stuff, or like Big Mom. Like there is this thing of, you know, Vex brought it up a while ago with his, you know, the fear about, you know, Delphus and Haki. It's all, you know, the power of the believing is they want to break people's belief because that's how they've been winning this entire time. That they're
Yeah.
not like 100 times stronger than Kaido. They might reach Kaido's level, but Kaido did not need to play those mental games. It was all physical, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think
Yeah.
that they need this for them to be an advantage. So they're not as invincible as we're scared that they'll be.
It's not even that. I
What's
think
really
they're gonna be
interesting to me.
invincible. Oh, go ahead, Vex.
I'm just gonna rant for a second. Like, I think that like what's interesting to me is a lot of like what we faced with Kaido was that yes, he had an army. He had one of the largest armies, you know, with all of his, you know, Beast Kingdom pirates and like everyone that was subservient in Wano and things. He had a full nation, and it was bigger than Toto Land. This was much bigger than, you know, Big Mom's
Yeah.
family tree. This was the largest faction we had faced. And even the fodder, like we saw in Act like 1, I think, of Wano, even the fodder were able to like not be speed blitzed by Gear 4. Like when Luffy ended up fighting with Batman or whatever. Like, I don't know, like this was truly menacing in like the sheer numbers. But then we had like the whole ninja, mink, pirate, samurai alliance to help us. And so that kind of mitigated a lot of that. I'm hesitant to say fodder because they were actually very, you know, valid, you know, fighters. Even the lowest ranking of the Beast Kingdom pirates were nothing to shake a tail feather at. So it was like, it's really interesting. And then there was the environmental
The
aspect.
pleasures.
He was
Sorry,
absolutely
Jackson.
wrecking all of Wano. And then there was also like Onigashima being lifted up, and like the explosions, like that was impending, and like there was so much on the environmental aspect as well. But for the most part, Kaido was one really strong dude. For the most part, yes, there were other factors in play, but when it all came down to the finale, it was 1v1, Kaido v Luffy. This is a different story entirely, because like we had mentioned in our previous discussions, and yes, there is still other things in play because we have the giants, we have these nightmare creatures, there's the environmental effect of this tree can catch fire really easily and things like, there's a lot of other things going into play here. But when we really boil it down and take away all of the fluff, we get down to crew versus crew, because these people are using their powers in tandem, intelligently and dynamically. This isn't one big strong dude versus one big strong dude. This is several moving parts,
which
working like a well-oiled machine.
To this chapter as well was Zoro and Sanji working together. The Straw Hats used to it quite a bit in the pre-time skip, not as much in the post. So I'm very excited to see if that is the case. Which brings up kind of where I'm heading with this week's captain's question. I'll get there in just one moment. But Jinbei, gotta go give him MVP for this chapter. Dude took out the fire with one shoulder throw of the sea clouds, which we all talked about.
That's a W. I literally said he'd be waterbending clouds last discussion. Go check on the channel. I literally said that last week. It's
huge
crazy.
dub there. That's great. But then on this last 2 pages, right? We get Saul's relief face, and we see Robin talking about how the Devil Fruit user has to be nearby. Hydrauden, or not Hydrauden, why did I say that? Dory and Brogy are congratulating the firefighters who do not take credit. They let them know, oh no, yeah, that was not us. That was the Straw Hats. But Gunko has arrived on the Svarl, the flying ship. Svaller. And that is my captain's question to you guys, actually. Who do you think is fighting Gunko right now? Because someone's gonna fight her.
Colin,
Jesus.
Oh my god.
She's already
The
talking
winner
about
becomes
doing
Nakama.
terrible things to a child. Never mind. I'm gonna cut that out.
No,
Cut that
winner
out.
becomes
Someone put it in.
Nakama. Everyone's talking about Colin for Nakama, Gunko for Nakama. Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Battle for Nakama. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see it. No, like honestly, I don't have a legitimate answer, so I just had to go with the meme. Like I don't see any one of the Straw Hats that are here right now facing off with her in a 1v1.
Brooke.
So for me,
I'm just saying. Go ahead, Kube.
So I've been talking about.
So yeah. Oh, sorry.
Because of the parallel of that one, it goes against where I think there's more to Gonko compared to the other God's Knight. We've talked about the part exchange, which is almost like they don't know her, and like her not knowing them, like reacting to Loki not caring about Celestial Dragon, and she's like a commoner, thinking that that's like a death sentence. Call back to Stellian Reverie when Garp insulted the Celestial Dragon, and everyone were like gasping for air because they thought they would just be unalive for just hearing it. That scene that Gonko just appeared is a 1-to-1 when Miss All Sunday appeared on the Straw Hat ship after Whiskey Peak.
Yeah.
Coming to mock Vivi, but instead of attacking them, she instead like gave them like a winning chance in a way.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if like it's like there's more to it, to that her appearing on it by herself is like Robin as Miss All Sunday had even though she was a number 2, leading the organization, she had her own mission. So Crocodile's mission with Vivi did not matter for her. So when she went there, and she got intrigued by Luffy, so she said, you know what, just go to Little Garden. It's a great island for you to visit. So I feel like it could be more like a twist of Gonko in this. I'm not saying Gonko's saying, Luffy, please take me with you. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that she's jumping ship, but more like she has her own motivation about certain stuff, and she's trying to pique her interest, her curiosity.
Yeah.
So she jumped on the ship, just like Robin did.
I would think that if she didn't immediately threaten to take Colin. That's the red flag for me. The reason I said Brooke, this is what Brooke has been asking for since his character introduction.
No way. For
someone to show him their panties. And Gunko is rocking panties out. So has Oda been foreshadowing this matchup since Brooke's introduction?
Crazy, bro. I was actually gonna say the same thing. That is so funny.
Yeah, no, she was just listening to his TDs. Like,
But you know what? Actually, meme aside, I actually have. If it's really gonna be a showdown, I know who's gonna go after Gonko.
Jinbei.
So we talked about his crazy observation hockey. Now I'm not gonna tell you the name. I'm gonna try to have you guys guess, and I'm gonna give you a parallel scene. Remember what happened to Akainu after he unalived Ace?
Whitebeard.
There is a certain
Yeah.
Whitebeard.
Buggy.
There's a certain father
Buggy's
who is
dead!
into. Imagine the twist. You know, as Gonko is about to make a move, and Gaban just senses it, and pulls up just like a Whitebeard pulled up behind Akainu. It is his son. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
and Gaban is like much more emotional than Odin, Roger, or Rayleigh. Like, dude, you touch his kid, they might really end
but
badly.
like, hold on. We don't know what cloth Gabbana is cut from. He might be Garp style, and he's just like sitting back and watching. Like,
Trial
go
by
ahead,
fire.
Colin. Fighter. Yeah, fighter.
Up,
Like, let's see what you got. You're talking about
That would be
you're a
hilarious.
warrior. Let's see it.
That'd be
Show me what you
hilarious.
got. Like, and he just like pulls up a chair, Somers style, and just reclines. Like,
Oh, dude, that would be hilarious. But yeah, like I could
bruh.
see now that you're talking about it, I could see Scopper being the one who pulls up, because that would be a funny twist, a great twist.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
there's
if
so
he
many
just came in
ways.
and
Yeah.
Whitebeard.
Yeah, there's so many ways this could unfold, and I'm very interested because like Sanji's useless in this matchup. Let's be real. If he were to pop in and try to save the
Oh
day,
yeah, no, he
but
can't.
we do
he
know
can't fight Gonko. He can't fight Gonko.
but we do know that if Nami lets out any concerned cry or even like a sigh, like a breath, Sanji's there, but he's not gonna do anything like, in this
Dude.
matchup. I love Sanji, but like, what's he gonna do here? You know what I mean?
Everything ties back to
Hear me
Thriller
out.
Bark. Usopp defeated Perona and Thriller Bark when Sanji couldn't. Just saying.
Oh my god.
No,
I
hear
mentioned
me
that
out.
though,
I'm
like
better.
a few discussions ago. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Cuban, then I'll cook on that.
And it's you know what? I'm even gonna say the name. It's a sort of Bark moment. Remember how Nami found a way of getting zombie Lola to stop attacking her by saying, "But Lola, I'm not a girl. I'm a man."
That
If they
that
tell
wasn't Nami,
Sanji,
that was
if
Namizo.
they,
That was Namizo.
yeah, Namizo.
Completely different person.
Imagine they pulled up with Sanji and they just say, "Sanji, you don't see it? That's a man." And then he feels like he
No.
gets his Okama nightmares.
He's the
and
one
just
that comes in
dispels
in
memory.
Whitebeards.
Well, no, like you mentioned
lied
with the
to me.
Perona matchup. Like with Perona and with Sugar, we'd seen before these one tap devil fruit crack absolute hacked like abilities that nobody else in their right mind would be able. Like this was taking out entire swaths, like the entire Straw Hats were rendered completely immobile and useless in Perona's negative hollows, except for Usopp. An entire nation was subjugated over a decade of their history, like completely being controlled by Sugar, and then Usopp shows up. And so like this is really interesting in that Future Sight was something that we all assumed that we saw going up against these arrows, but Loki's wasn't enough. But maybe that's Usopp's glow up that we're about to get, is that he can see beyond
I like
their predetermination,
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. He knows where they're gonna go.
I'm here for it.
Ooh, Top Musica style, where he knew where to attack because he saw the movements. I'm
here for it.
Here
Like
for
this
that.
could be like the glow up we've all been waiting for Usopp and Elbaf, because it's gotta happen this arc. It could be the Brook meme moment. It could be Gabon kicking back and telling Colin to prove he's a warrior. It could be so many different things, and I love every little thing that we just kind of posed as an opportunity,
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
What a chapter, boys. Like, seriously, just take it all in. Take it all in. Before we move on to final thoughts. Oh, go ahead, Cube.
No, I thought you wanted us to talk about Big Mom because you said Olden.
No, I was going to say, before we move on to final thoughts, Chopper hugging Robin in this panel is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I love my girl. I love how happy she's been since she's been on Elbaf. Makes me a little emotional, I'm not going to lie. But yes, so we are now at final thoughts and ratings for the chapter. Q, why don't you go first this week? Oh, Q's muted.
No, I'm
Vic.
here.
Okay.
So for me, it's a great chapter, and I'm going to do something because I'm going to break the pattern. No, I'm not actually break the
Gasp.
pattern. I'm gonna give Frankie's first bounty. No, what was it? It's the second bounty with the straw hats. A 9.4 out of 10. I really like
Nice.
it.
Let's go.
That's high.
With
That's
rocks, with the fighting. I've been asking to see crazy feats from giants more than 2 seconds. We got that. We got some great moments of Jinbei. Like overall, there was everything for me that we needed to have.
Yeah.
So it's definitely over a 9.
That's what's up. Vex, how about you, brother? Final thoughts, rating?
Not gonna go quite as high as Cube. I'm gonna give it a flat 9, which is phenomenal scoring in my opinion. I haven't given many 9s in LBAF. I think I've only given 2 chapters a score that exceeds this one, so this is pretty high up there for me. I like pretty much every interaction we got. The implications are crazy. The conversations, the theories, the community is just absolutely running away with this chapter already, almost to the point of like the mural, which was one of the biggest reveals I think we've ever gotten.
Yes.
Definitely one of the biggest ones I've ever been a part of the community for. This is like, it's obviously not quite there, but there's so many different things going on here. And not a single panel feels wasted. Oda sneaking absolute fire into literally every single nook and cranny and corner of this. This is the kind of chapter I feel like I'm gonna look back like in post LBAF and remember this arc by, because there's so much going on. It's great. It's so good. Other chapters I felt like, yes, this was really cool, but what about that? And like I don't feel like I'm left wanting anything more out of this chapter. And what a chapter to go on break week, you know, on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree almost entirely with what you were saying. I feel like Oda did not waste a single panel. Even with his reaction shots this chapter, he nailed the emotion. Saul's look of relief. Same with Robin and Chopper, like I just mentioned. Not only that, but what I mentioned earlier with Hizrud and how complex the way he's looking at Loki is. Not, and then we get a lot of my favorite parts of One Piece. We get some crazy lore with rocks. We get awesome moments for Jinbei. Goldberg shields a homie, which is a dub. And not only that, but I get to see Goldberg, who is my favorite design character of the new Giant Warrior Pirates, cooking, which I love. As Vex said, I love seeing people do the crew role that they are meant to do. One of my favorite things in the world. Overall, 9 out of 10 chapter for me. 9 out of 10.
Let's go.
Preach,
Same page, brother.
preach.
So good. It is so good. I thought about giving it a 10. It's just missing just a little bit of oomph for me to give it that 10.
Yeah. This is pretty much as good as it gets outside of like 9.5 or 10 territory as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I've given out a 9.5 this arc yet, but it's the only thing I really feel like could have improved is obviously the cover story, but keep it going for the memes. I'm here for that. But it's like the simple fact that we literally could have cooked for 2 whole more hours just on the implications of some of the things that were like hinted at or stated loosely in this chapter. We could literally keep going for like 2 more hours. And
I could have gone on
if you
for
guys
40 minutes about Jinbei. Like,
if you guys want to be a part of that yourselves, make sure you check the link in the description, join the Discord. We can yap for so much longer, but we try to keep it pretty concise. We try to keep it page by page here for these types of discussions. Like make sure you guys join the Discord. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment your favorite part of the chapter as well. But like, we literally could keep going about this chapter for like a day straight, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
I know I could.
This is one that I could yap fest on for sure. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure you leave the hashtag those kids are safe. And with that, Brother Cube, my first mate, my right hand. Take us out.
Yeah, so, oh shit. Cypher Pulse here. We'll see you all in the next sunrise.